InShalla and Ashe, blessings to you, and welcome to the Daily Snippet. It is I, once again, holistic Sha'medium and subtle energy surgeon, Tonya D. If you hear a little rattling in the background, it's because I have the fern gully effect happening in my village. Not really excited about that, not gonna lie. However, if you've been feeling as if you're in the in-between, we truly are in a process. Not just due to the experience of the experience, but our world has been at this crossroads. However, it's at the twist. It's moving. So really be heart-centric and make your heart wishes actually delicious. Stay out of your mind. And also, if you really want to get into the other world, join me for Voices of the Other World, a journey into the elementals, the beings in the elements, and so much more. It's going to be galactic. I'm actually in the middle of the choreography stage of creating it, but also I'm limiting it only to 22 guests. So if you are feeling the call, the journey actually is going to start in January. I'm musing about the 15th, but still musing with the planets and the elements on that as well. But in the day pillar today, we have a pillar of water, much needed water, no fire. So the water is cold. Where is the coldest waters besides in the winter months? Possibly the Pacific, or it might really be the Atlantic Ocean, but it's water. And we have two little piggies sitting right next to each other. We could say this little piggy went to market and this little piggy stayed home. And where are all the little piggies, right? Anyways, we have a Yin Water Pig Day, a Gui Hai, or a Gui Hai, yeah. So support for our day really comes from the year, which is also our ancestors, or at least our grandparents in the 4 pillars chart. So this could be old money, old wealth, an inheritance even. And we have nature hidden in the stems of the pigs, or the branches of the pigs. More water in the year, yin water, hidden as well. So I would bring in the element of fire. It's also magically enough. It just might be a day to connect with our ancestors, the world, or the other. It really doesn't matter. So stir your creativity and connect intuitively, but also be in a clear and calm state of mind with zero negativity, zero negative energy. Be in what I call the no zone, the no you know what zone, or the zero where you give zero. So it's really a time to take the transformation to the next level, hold the space, and give time to the energy of what you wish to transform. So I guess say the wish, write the dream in the form of the 3, 6, and the 9s. You know, I prefer like the 3 wishes, and the chanting or the writing can be in the 3s, the 6s, or the 9s. So we have our heart online and the desire actually to take action. You have to stir the pot. And that's what has to happen actually to actually make it happen. So with water, really be in the flow of love and desire, and just, you know, not allowing anything to ripple in and distract you from your heart's true desire, making those wishes become manifest. So it's important that you stay with the wish of the heart, the desired wish in the heart, not get all cascaded away with another one. So, you know, my intention is to bump it up a notch and really take it to the next level. Voices of the Other World, that's my intention on the daily. Why? Well, number one, you know, it's this rock solid bliss. It's going to be fun and informative for those of you that are going to participate. Just staying focused on the treasure, the creation. So when the shiny little things bobble up or show up, you know, it's kind of a test to see if your heart is still in the threads of what it desires. And on top of that, we have another aspect, a sphere to kind of bobble with. So imagine holding or being in a sacred sphere where nothing gets in the sphere but you, your spirit, your soul, and creator, and your heart in alignment. So the aspect really of your prime directive is in that sphere as well. I would stay in the joy channel, feel the juicy laughter that comes in when you're in creation in your organic sphere. So just keep feelings from the past out and keep that mind loop from looping. going down the rabbit hole, and really be in sacred space with a heartfelt knowing that everything is fine. It's actually perfect. So it's time to take it up a notch. If you're surrounded by people or situations that aren't valuing you, it's really time to invest in yourself, your personal elf on the shelf, if you will, in terms of a higher quality of life, the juiciness. If somebody slights you or doubts you, really just flick them off. Flick the thought out and just really just smile and walk away. There's no need to actually use your outside voice. So it's a magical day to be in and actually stay in an optimistic venue, the joy channel, the channel of abundance. Those are the channels you should stay in all day and always. It keeps us in the flow of what our heart truly desires, sacred and safe in our personal sphere. So if we utilize our inner eye to be the voice, beacon in on only the heart's desires, the desires of love and joy and healing if we need it. And really, who doesn't need some kind of healing somewhere, right? It's the comforts and the safeties and the securities that you are safe in your sphere, your container. Might feel like a magical bubble. But really, your greatest asset and investment is really truly yourself, not the world outside of you or what the world outside of you believes is a great life. So really stay with your heart, the inner and also the outer heart, your sacred space in the magical sphere. So it's a day to protect this process of what your intention is and what the magic product is actually on the other side. And also at the same time, really give yourself some soul credit for the upcycling that you've actually done, not just this year, but the prior, right? The experience. So really trust and believe. And ultimately, you are in the right thought frame. So the key really to access is through love, the channel of love, loving and being loving to yourself through the entire process as you open up the gate to explore and visualize the intention becoming manifest every day, every hour, every minute, every nanosecond, and really be grateful, feel blessed, and see it or visualize it as if it has already manifested form, taken shape, form, energy to matter. So with the Shaman's portal online, we also have the heart center and the outer heart center, the spot of God or the spark of the universe. So really utilize that sphere and also the root center. So we have two spheres, a sphere of protection and also a sphere of love, otherworldly love, the love we can't often see or even feel, along with the earth star. So bring in all the sounds from the heart to the root and release it into the earth star. And Diddy's actually agreeing with me on this one. So it's like the yammy and the lammy. And bring it in, if you could bring in any color that really lights up your heart's desire, the greens, the oranges, reds, really a rainbow grid, just light up your energetic force field and kind of tune into that. Now, the stone of the day, see, I'm still getting over my moment here, but I brought in rondonite, which is super fun. It actually goes with the energy of the day. But it's this silicate mineral, manganese, and has this opaque transparency. And it comes in a variety of shades that vary from pale pink to deep red. So that also tells me it brings in the soul's harmonic, the combination of the crown center and also the root, as it brings in a deeper red. And it has this luster, and it's composed of a variety of other minerals like calcite, iron, and magnesium. So it has, has ores or these rounded crystals. It actually means, rondonite means compassion and love. So it's an aspect to really find your power. It's like Pretty in Pink, that song, or no, it's a movie, Pretty in Pink. But the stone brings a flush of dark-hued, shocking pink shades to really light up our life. And it's sharing its pink color, this scheme, with that kind of quiet time just before dawn or with a wildflower meadow in the springs. So it's really no wonder that if you were to look at it, it's just enough to stir up all the pleasures of our heart space. So it also has a sister stone, rhodochrosite, and I might be screwing that up, but that one's all about sending loving vibes to our soul and taking back space. So it's all about putting ourselves in a healthy, healing place so we can send those loving vibes out into the world and do our own bidding for the world at large. So the rose pink stone actually gets its name from rondon or rhodon, the Greek word for rose. It was first discovered in the 1790s in the remote Ural Mountains that ripple across Russia. So since then, the pink colored crystal has been unearthed in India, Mexico, Sweden, Madagascar, Australia, South Africa, Brazil, Canada, and even the great US of A. But it's made of manganese, and it has these swirling shadows of manganese. So it's kind of measures between the 5 and the 6 on the Mohs hardness scale, but it's a solid stone with a visible eye-catching strength. So it's not really one to shy away. Like a lot of rose, pink, and pink stones, it's really deeply connected to our heart centers, to be heart-centric. So if you feel like you need a helping hand in overcoming the traps of life, of forgiveness, fear, compassion, and true open-hearted, authentic, and healthy love, the juicy kind, this really is the stone that we need to bring lasting, like moments or insights of peace and layers of healing vibrations into our life. When we have the stone on our side, we can really occupy spaces free from the entanglements of toxic relationships, and it brings in this altruistic beauty back to our world, and if it sounds like a rare gem that you need, it kind of really is, and it has a variety of healing properties. It's ripe with rich healing properties, and it welcomes this rosy glow into our worlds where we feel the walls around our heart space like are falling down, but yet they're protected. And we throw up walls of protection, some healthy boundaries, and some come from those blockages or not holding trust in the universe. Like right now, I'm holding faith and trust in the greater universe. So we can work with this stone to bring our heart to a place of purity and elegance and step out on the journey towards our higher truth and our higher self. Anybody who's ever wanted to find the capacity to grow their love and give back to the world, this stone should actually be at our center, heart-centric. And a lot of its healing power is attributed to the beautiful emotional and spiritual properties. That doesn't mean it falls short when it comes to bringing a breath of fresh healing air to our bodies either, but this crystal is softly invigorating, and it brings gifts of strength that we really oftentimes never know that we have. So for those of you that are feeling your energy is drained, particularly after a strong emotional spell or after a bout of trauma, the rondodite's soothing vibrations actually are enough to bring us back to life. And of course, it also connects through our heart and our circulatory system, our red blood circulation, the heart herself. So keeping our ticker just beating bright and light. But the rose stone also sends energy out into our endocrine system, along with curing stomach ulcers, shifting our digestion, assisting with our autoimmune conditions or dis-ease. It also assists the body heal from scarring, and it can take the sting out of insect bites as well, like that little pinging sting. But healing our emotional wounds and putting us on the pathway to complete unconditional love when it comes to our mental and emotional well-being, this is really where this stone shines bright. So for those of you who want to clear your heart of pain and bring down the barriers that might be holding you back, this stone is ready to go to work on helping us dismantle anything that could be having a negative impact on our own self-worth. And really, all love ultimately starts with self-love. And the more we're able to stand in our own light of our own beingness, our own self-confidence, and our own talents, really, the better equipped we are to turn that love outwards and really send it spiraling into the galactic universe, into our everyday world. So if you have issues with abandonment or betrayal or anything that translates to unhealthy attitudes towards relationships, this stone really can be this amazing relationship kind of counselor to get your life really back on track. So it's a stone that really encourages mutual understanding and the ability to embrace compromise from a place of pure and honest acceptance, our true love space. So having this huge connection to our heart center, this is where our love, trust, and the ability to bring compassion really comes from. So as life can be brimming with kind of hard knocks, it's our heart center that can often really take the hit, take the blast. So when we throw up those walls, we really shut ourselves down and our trust levels kind of diminish, they dissipate. So when we work to clear the blockages that clog up our heart space, we might find ourselves healed and in harmony and be able to bring about those healthy levels of both love on the inside and also on the outside. So, if you have one, it also has the darker patches as well. If they resonate, they resonate strongly with our root center. So this is a place of safety. It's how we root into the earth beneath our feet. And it all relates to our sense of security in the world, in the physical. So it really goes without saying that this stone, it's a stone of deep love, and it comes with more than a pinch of positivity. So it brings joy and energy and a spark that really can light up a room. So if you feel that you need some added power in reducing negativity or negative energy in your life, then you can also pair this stone with sugalite, which actually is going to be my stone for tomorrow, for even more intense action. So they kind of actually balance each other out in those spheres. So that's actually super magical. I felt like this stone really actually went with the magic and the energy of today. So the moon herself is actually in Aquarius. So feeling the juice of or combining with Jupiter, that's kind of where she's glossing or lighting up the storm, right? So you might be feeling a next level frequency of emotions and the waves and the currents, feeling that, for me, it's a feeling that you don't expect or a new feeling maybe that you haven't frequented before. So today it's like grounding and earthing are really a message to bring in, loving and being compassionate to ourselves, finding our inner peace and recounseling or recalibrating, reconciling any disturbances, disturbances or challenges in the world and also outside the world, kind of both in that container. But the cards I'm going with today, I love my fairies. I haven't pulled them out for a little bit, but they're kind of the world I live in. But we have, this one is the Collective of Pixies. So part of the fairy guides and the guardians, they're the ones that devote their time and their energy directly guiding humans as we develop our gifts and our talents, even our own natural magic, the beauty that resides within us. These guides help us to discover the joys of living more harmoniously with nature, with each other, and also, more importantly, with them. But a collective of pixies, they've got this message that, a pixie's got to do what a pixie's got to do. They're spreading their dust. And one of the things that they absolutely love to do, besides the laughter, is the dance. It's the dance to be, it has to be done. The kneading of the earth, so the flowers will grow, the trees bear their fruits, the grass and the trees. It really is all the goodness and the juiciness of nature when you sit and you kind of meditate in nature herself. So the pixies could treat the dance as a duty or something boring or oppressive, but they actually choose to take the joy in doing it and the manifestation of doing it very well. So you kind of want to ask yourself, are you faced with duties? It's all perspective. So when these pixies haven't got enough to do, they tend to get into mischief altogether. And they decide, they ought to lead the travelers astray, chase the farmers' cows from the fields, tangle with computer wires, and kind of bust up the memory, even crossing the threads of wireless phone lines, interference. It's not always a negative thing, right? The fairies are trying to get our attention. So make sure that everyone involved in the container knows really what they're expected to do here, and that they have enough work to keep them busy without being overlooked or overloaded or, weighted down. But it can also mean that some people might be dragging their feet, not getting their job done. People who make promises, but they never deliver the promise. So you really want to invite them to join you in the dance if possible. And, I like to keep my round table, my village, because everybody, everyone has a gift. I know what I'm not good at. So I try to collaborate with people that can do the thing I need with their juiciness, if possible. And really help people to see the joy and the satisfaction that they can find in doing a magical, amazing job with heart and with cheer, with glossy cheer, and also just setting a good example of what that looks like, because we all have a perspective of that as well. Then the next card I pulled, it's the Topsy Turvettes. And I'm actually not sure if I spelled that right in my show notes, but all these little beings are in there. But these ones are part of the fairy guides and guardians. So, it's like when life is confusing, these little turvettes come to visit us, and nothing draws them like a mental muddle of mud, because they don't really cause our disarray or disruptions. We're actually really good at creating our own chaos, right? Within ourselves or with others, even, I find. But confusion is this important stage of growth, and they get their joy molecules going, assisting us or creating things to grow and change. So they live everywhere. Not only physical humans need their help, but they are, all of us do, really. Plant, animal, all the world. But they're very busy. And fortunately, they're prolific. So there are a lot of them. Sometimes I have them just feeling them all behind me sometimes. But when these topsy turvettes show up, it indicates that somebody needs to look again to make an effort to see things from a different point of view. So it's suggesting that confusion might exist because we're asking the wrong questions, or possibly we've made assumptions that are actually incorrect, and we've literally run into a brick wall built of all these misconceptions. So these little turvettes, these little beings, they're asking us to kind of back up and to question our assumptions, always bring in the heart space, right? And try to see things from the viewpoints of other people that are involved in the confusion, in the muddle, the mental mud, basically. And they ask us to let go of our attachment to our own point of view, to stop saying ought or should, especially when it comes to other people, and more, to be more empathetic. They suggest that we start trying to see things as they actually really are, instead of as someone thinks they should be. So this is actually kind of like a warning that somebody involved in question or an issue at hand is mentally upside down, or possibly even sideways, even, because that's how they flow, right? So this card is kind of a suggestion that things need to be looked at from possibly a different angle, a different point of view, and we really kind of need to back off from our emotional entanglements and look with fresh new eyes, look from a new point of view. So, you know, a lot of the apparent confusion about the issue is caused sometimes for our own faulty viewpoint. So with that, you know, you want to really get the opinions that of honesty of others, and then kind of relook at your own opinion. I like to stay curious. I like to question everything. Defensiveness and denial really sometimes can cause a lot of difficulty. So just try imagining that you were looking at the situation from a point of view different, or from another point of view from the people within your container and your village. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So this is not an exercise in deciding how the other ought to see things, but also in discovering how they really do see things. So words like he ought to see that, they're not useful at this time. So the Turvets, you know, it's like saying, remember to pause and to listen for hints from these little magical beings themselves, because they're really experts in this field. They're the guardians and the guides of this dimension, this realm. So, you know, I believe no fairy is completely good or bad, but they flow, they embody both of these extremes. So tune kind of into that frequency, if you will. The little beings, just love them. And then I pulled the sage. So the sage, you know, they're part of the singers of the realms. I love the singers of the realms. I'm not going to lie, but these are the great ones. Their wings and their beingness, their light, span the multiverse and all of the dimensions. So we have a variety of human names for them: angels, divas. I kind of go with like the fairy leprechaun kind of thing, the magical, the wizards. But it really doesn't matter what we call them. They really just hope that we call upon them. So they're the singers of this underlying song of the universe. And their songs aren't like the earth realm songs. They're very, they're just multi-dimensional is kind of what they feel like. So it's not just for the fairies that they assist, but all things. They are really the great ones, the ones who show up both human and fairy and also otherworldly. So what we have the potential to really ultimately become, and really just thanking them is really important, because in the gratitude, the thanking, it completes the circuitry, and it's kind of the balancing of the scales between this world and that world. It's the teeter-totter. And it really grounds their energy into the physical when we are grateful. So we and others can actually benefit from that energy. So it's like a gift unacknowledged is a gift neglected, but it's also unused. And a lot of people aren't using their own talents and gifts. I find they try to thread into others' gifts, but once we acknowledge our own prime directive, our own talents and gifts, our beacon shifts differently. So just through gratitude that we accept their song into our own being and also into our lives, they're constantly with us, and their energy and compassion, their love, their joy, they're always available. They are like the giggly, actually all the fairies, I'm not going to lie. They prefer, I would call it the Joy Luck Club. But when we need them, all we have to do is really ask for help, and then just be aware of the events and the insights that kind of follow that request. I kind of feel like waves sometimes when they come in, these particular beings. So the fact that I pulled this card, it's really a sign that we need to acknowledge the presence of the singer in our lives and ask for the help that they can give us. Be open with guidance, be receptive to the powers and the energy that they're offering us, but also expressing gratitude for the assistance and the aid that they're actually delivering It's really in the awareness, the conscious streams of awareness. And so through this, we really open up ourselves a beacon of light to, we can do it through prayer, meditation, or just the love frequency itself, the love of these otherworldly beings. They're actually more light beings. And that's when we allow their essence to really flow in and through us. So if you could muse for a second about what happened and just think about the last time that you really prayed, say, for courage or insight or healing or just otherworldly even guidance, and kind of feel into that. And if you were aware and what signs or signals kind of radiated, like meta symbols, otherworldly symbols. But the sage is a unique card. It's also the shaman. It's like not all wise men are shamans and not all shamans are wise men. But this is actually, it's both combined into one asset. So it's like power informed by wisdom and wisdom made manifest by power. So it really is in this container merging. So this is also the face of Father Time. So we see the colors of the season kind of surrounding him in all its glory. We can see different shades, even like the sticks, the trees, leaves, no leaves. So it's like heaven and earth. So sometimes he's actually the old man of the mountain. He's the hermit who searches within for wisdom and understanding, like that ancient bone wisdom. Then he's really willing to share the goodness, share the knowledge with any true seeker who really comes in. And even his blind eye, I don't know if you can see that, but that enables him to look into other worlds and other realms. And the wisdom that's really buried very deep within each and every one of us. So this is kind of where the singers actually dwell. And he's reached the stage of life where he's let go of many of the activities of the younger beings. He's retreated somewhere from the outer realms in the world of fairyland is kind of what I would say. So he's become more deeply kind of immersed in the landscapes of like knowledge and inner vision, contemplation, and spirit. So it's these higher octaves that are otherworldly and sometimes out of body. And on the exterior, he lives very simply, almost kind of austerely, but his inner world is filled, it's this overflowing richness in order to pursue his studies more thoroughly. So it's almost like he could be in the library. So he's even cultivated detachment, which is curious because that's part of that Aquarius moon, is to be detached in a way. Some people might see this as kind of a remote viewingness or coldness, but he's not any less loving for doing this. So the sage finds the interconnection between all the things, between everything, and he sees the connections, the relationships, and also the consequences between those threads, those seemingly separate ideas and beings and things. So love and compassion are the inevitable consequences of truly seeing. And this then leads the sage to really share his offerings and his learning and his wisdom with everyone around, with others. So like any wise elder, he leads by gently teaching from the vast store of knowledge and wisdom that he's a beacon of. So when asked for his judgment about something, he is discriminating in some aspects, but also he has a generous heart. So he turns a blind eye to punishment, feeling that what is needed is mercy and forgiveness and compassion as a way of teaching those who err, which to err is human, right? But be compassionate. Because when things are more compassionate and heart-centered, the person, the other, they're likely not to make that same mistake again. They've kind of got the memo. That's kind of what I see that as. But the sage is constantly learning. On one hand, he values tradition and stability, and he also understands and he values the need for growth and change. So value, we tend to put value on things through a perspective of money, but value is, it doesn't take money for value, right? So with that, he can't, he can't go out for a walk or, vision through the neighborhood without discovering something new and trying to see if it fits in a whole. So he's always expanding his understanding of reality, but also at the same time, he's deepening his awareness. So as we develop patience and compassion, and they're intertwined, that's when we begin to manifest the wisdom of the sage. So here we see like wisdom, we have deep understanding. And one of the keys of wisdom is to kind of organize. And anytime I do like rituals or offerings, there's a space of integration. And through that, it kind of simplifies our thoughts. And then also, when things become complex, that really kind of leads to confusion. So simplicity is like to be valued, keeping things simple. So this is like signifying like a signal for mental discipline informed by balanced learning and also compassion. So it's like weaving the threads. So tradition is valued, but appropriate change is also accepted because we're in those threads. I totally can't believe I picked these cards today, but it totally is the message is going. But the sage knows when to let go and when to move forward, move on. He knows when to retreat, and he also knows when to think things over. So it's like taking a breath and a pause before you decide or commit. Because when we commit to something without giving pause to the space, it usually falters. But he's compassionate and he's wise. He shares his knowledge with others. He teaches by example as well as precept. So the scales of justice are kind of balanced within the sage's hands. So this card is also kind of signifying the need for deep consideration and also refining our judgment and applying that with compassion and also mercy. So we have like these joyful participation, virtues, the willingness with the collection of pixies, along with the change of a viewpoint, a fresh new perspective, a new way of seeing things, the topsy-turvets. And then we land here to where we have the wisdom to his knowledge, the old age, and patience and retreating kind of like a hermit, the sage. So this energy is kind of in alignment for the frequency of today. So I would say it's time to see yourself differently, hold your sphere of wisdom, the knowledge that resides within you, sing the song of the singers, the angels, the otherworldly joy, use a blessing bowl and really write down how blessed and actually grateful you are for how far you've actually come. And in doing so, that really opens the door to experience more and more. I would actually have it in my third eye and just send the beacon out there as if it's already manifested. So an affirmation would be like, I affirm the person that I am becoming is the one my heart truly knows to be authentic, because you're in your sphere, you're in your own personal sacred sphere, your own sacred garden, your rich soil. Nature is growth, it's authenticity, it's transformation, it's also change. Nature's always changing, right? Nothing's at a standstill. Neither are we. So we have our inner nature in alignment with our sphere of love and light. So I would also, be the change that you wish to see today inside and out of your beingness, and keep it juicy of all things, right? So with all of that, a little long today, but InShalla and Ashe, blessings to you. And as always, thanks for tuning in.